name is Kashif Shakoor. I'm a EO member since 2008, so I'm one of the older members of the organization. I joined EO when it was EO Pakistan. I think there were maybe about 10 members at that point in time, both in Karachi and in Lahore. It grew to about 30, 40 members, and then we split into EO Karachi and Lahore, and now EO's Lahore's grown to 100 plus members. So I am in the consumer goods business. We manufacture household cleaning products, window cleaners, floor cleaners, shoe polishes, a lot of products that you may have heard of. Some of our brands are Glint window cleaners and Kiwi shoe polish. We also manufacture some insecticides and some industrial waxes. I went to school in Karachi. I'm a KGS alumni, and then I went to college in the US at Northwestern University. Came back in 2001 and joined the business, and I have 4 children, 3 daughters and a son. My eldest daughter is in LUMS, and the younger 3 are still in school.
Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Ismail. I basically am one of a new joinee to EO. I just joined, I think it's been less than a year. I studied in Edson College, and then I went abroad to study for college. I went to the United States. I studied at the University of Pennsylvania. I studied political science. That was my major. I minored in data science. And then right after I graduated, which was like 2 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago, I joined my family business. My family business is textiles. We basically manufacture value-added textiles like dyed fabric and garments, and then we sell it to Western wear brands. So mainly we are basically a chino making factory. So we make the fabric and the garments of chino, and I am basically involved in the sales of the Europe region. So I look after a certain part. I'm in the sales department of a certain region, and I think my experience has been great so far ever since I returned to Pakistan, both in the business and so far my experience in EO has also been very good. And
so, Ismail, as a child, what was your favorite game or hobby, and why? Does it still influence you in some way today?
As a child, my favorite hobby was basically horse riding. I did horse riding, so something that I did every day after school. So in horse riding, there are basically multiple sports within horse riding. So although horse riding is a very broad category, and there are multiple sports, like you have show jumping, you have like the traditional nezabazi, you have polo, you have the dressage. I basically did the dressage and jumping and nezabazi, and it was something I did every day on the weekends and after school on the weekdays. And it influenced me in the sense that like a sport, it teaches you a lot about real life, how to take a loss and how to work towards achieving something. So basically that was horse riding for me, and it was a very good experience. Unfortunately, I haven't really continued it because it's a very, very time consuming also. So what about yourself? Was there any hobby for you?
So when I first got a computer, I think that was maybe 10 or 11 years ago old. I remember I took it apart and put it back together again, and that sort of shaped my interest in all things tech. But I think beyond that, what's really how it's influenced me is that everything that I get really interested in, I go deep. I get more involved in it than what most people would consider necessary. So that's how it's influenced me even today.
What is the single best decision you've made in your life, and how has it shaped your journey?
I think it's very difficult to really qualify a single decision, because I think as we grow old, priorities change. So something that I might have considered really significant maybe 20 years ago might not seem as significant today. One of the things that a lot of EO members know of me recently is that I've gone on this health journey. I used to be overweight a few years ago, and I've went on this journey to focus a lot on my health. I went on the intermittent fasting diet, and as I said earlier, I really went deep into it and lost a lot of weight, optimized my biomarkers, and I've been preaching this almost now to everyone that I know. So that's, I guess, really good decision I made recently.
Sure, that's great. How much weight did you lose, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, sure. So at my peak, I was 96 kgs, which was a few years ago. I weighed 77 this morning, so I've lost about 19 kgs.
Sure, that's great. Wow, that's an achievement.
So how about you?
So me, if I see my single best decision, I fully agree. It's hard to point out a single best decision, because life is just a series of decisions. I think that mine would also be health related. I also was very unhealthy in the sense that I wasn't into fitness or anything, and I recently joined the gym 3-4 months ago, and even like this morning also I went to the gym. So before work I go, and it's been a very good decision. But I think if I were to answer differently, it would be going to the US to study. I think that was a very good decision, and it was life changing, because I think in Pakistan we have a certain type of education that's very, I think it's based on, it's too much rote learning in Pakistan, so it doesn't make you think. I think going to the US and studying liberal arts over there really it made me think about things that normally you don't think about over here, like about life and about the world. I think that was a very, very good decision in my life.
Oh, I fully agree with that. I think that would be one of my better decisions as well, going to the US. The type of exposure that you get there, and it's sort of the right age to go when we go for college. So sort of a coming of age, and we mature a lot, living independently for the first time. So I think I will fully agree with what you said about for me as well. So if you were magically granted your dream talent, what would it be, and how would you put use to it in your personal or professional life?
Dream talent. Can this include like magic powers, or does it have to be something that's physically real, physically possible?
I think go wild. It can be anything because it's
I don't
magical.
know, read people's minds, but I don't think maybe that would backfire because maybe I wouldn't want to read people's minds.
Sure.
That could also be bad. I don't know. Dream talent, I think it would be, I guess because I'm in sales, so if my dream talent would be to be able to sell anything to anyone. So if I were to do that, if I were to choose one skill, it would be sales and be, I guess, a really good salesperson. And I think it's very clear how I could use that in my personal and professional life because I guess convincing people would be something that would be very, very useful skill. What about
Sure,
you?
sure. I think we've all met people who, if you remember a lot about previous conversations. So I want the ability to flawlessly remember conversations, names, intricate details that we've had conversations even years ago. And I think that whenever I've met those types of people, I've learned that you connect to them so deeply. And I would like to have that ability. I think this isn't just about memory, it's about connecting with people, building bridges, and making every interaction meaningful. And I think whenever I've met with such people, they make the whole meeting and conversation seem so relevant and significant. And so that's the ability I would like to have.
Yeah, I guess that would be very useful even for the talent that I said. I guess what you said is very relevant to that also.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Do you want to share a story of your biggest success in business? What made it significant and what did you learn from it?
So biggest success in business. So I only, I guess, been in the business for such a short time that I can't really talk about any biggest success because I haven't really achieved anything. I guess this is something that's more relevant for, I've had a lot of maybe little failures. I'm in that stage of my life or that stage in my career where I've joined and I've had a few failures and learning experience, but I wouldn't say I've had any bigger success. I would say there is one highlight I would say that I have in my business is that ever since I joined, basically we sell garments, we export garments, right? So I have wanted to vertically integrate and basically sell the garments in the local market, basically create a fashion retail brand. And I have basically now created that brand and I just launched it last month. Basically, the same products that we export, so selling the same products locally because so the philosophy behind creating this brand was that Pakistan makes some of the greatest clothes in the world, but all of it is exported to outside countries and Pakistanis don't get to enjoy it. So if, for example, we want to go over here and shop locally and buy clothes, hardly available in India. And the only high quality clothes that are available are like outside brands that they're so expensive, especially at
Absolutely.
these exchange rates. So I would say that is a highlight. I wouldn't say it's a success yet, but that is something that has been significant for me. And I have actually learned a lot in creating this because when I came back, I joined my family business. And when you join that, आपके लिए सब कुछ set हुआ होता है आपके लिए मतलब
Hmm.
there's everything set for you. Like yes, it is not easy. That is also not easy, but it's starting something from scratch, even though it's small, has its own things. Like it teaches you how to hire a team, how to build structures, how to basically create something from scratch. So that I'll actually learn more from that than my family business. Although I spent much more time, I give that less time. I gave more time to the family business. So although I've given it less time, I've learned much more from it.
Well, I heard that you recently started your brand. I just had a question for you. I mean, are you selling in a physical store, brick and mortar, or are you selling online? And so I wasn't aware that you've launched this brand. I'd like to know what it is and what type of clothes so we can look it up.
Yes, of course. So eventually our plan is to have a brick and mortar store. The reason we don't have one now is that we don't have many products. So in order to have a brick and mortar store, it has to be populated with many products. So currently we're doing product development and we only have one product currently. So we're currently only online. But you're right, a brick and mortar store is very, very essential in this industry because so the hardest thing to sell online is a pant and like a shirt, like this formal shirt with the in that like one has to try it on. There has to be a brick and mortar store. So soon they'll be there. Basically, what are we selling? We are selling basically like basic essentials. So basically, our philosophy is that we only have like basically, this is for example, if you go to a normal store over here, you'll have like maybe 100 types of products, right? But maybe the quality might not be, maybe kuch mein quality अच्छी होगी, kuch mein नहीं अच्छी होगी. So in this, the focus is that we only have like less number of products, not too many, and they're basic essentials like a basic pant, a basic shirt, जो भी एक रोज मर्रे के मतलब रोज पहननी होती है, and with no fancy designs or anything. But the focus is on the quality and the comfort and the functionality, and making it a very soft fabric, and I guess a very good amount of stretch, or a good hand feel. So the focus is on the quality rather than the quantity. So that is basically what our philosophy is, and what we are selling.
Sure, that sounds exciting. Best of luck with that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very exciting. It's something that is I really enjoy.
So for me, I think if I look back at my 20 odd years in business, one of the things that we had a fairly large contract with a supplier who backed out, and that caused us substantial losses. So we ended up taking the supplier to arbitration. And in that process, I learned quite a lot about how contracts work and what the legal terminology is and how things are generally work in terms of arbitrations and courts. So we ended up winning that after about 5 years, and I learned quite a lot, and I think that was a fairly large business success for
Sure.
me.
Was it in the local market, or was it like in some other country?
It was actually an Indian supplier, but arbitration was in London, and then we had to file for the execution in. So I went to Bombay to file for the execution. First time I actually went to court was in Bombay,
Sure.
so that was interesting experience.
But you physically traveled to India, or उस वक्त allowed
Yeah,
था?
yeah. I had to travel like 4 or 5 times to in that whole process. This was pre like 2015, 16 or so. So उस वक्त allowed था, तो उस वक्त I went quite a lot. मतलब वैसे business के लिए भी travel होता था, but I specifically went to get this arbitration enforced.
5 years is a very long time. Wow.
It was वो keeping your eye on the ball type situation के कई महीने कुछ नहीं होता था, फिर एकदम से उसके ऊपर काफी काम करना
Sure.
पड़ता.
I related to this. Some point came to my mind. Basically, since I sell to Europe, one country जहाँ इसका हमेशा खतरा होता है ज़्यादा, वो इटली है. So I sell to these different fabric to these different countries: France, Spain, Italy, Germany. So जो ये इटली में बड़ा खतरा होता है ये जो है ना इस तरह की चीजों का arbitration. बल्कि last month भी मेरे साथ कुछ ऐसे
बिल्कुल.
हुआ था. Thankfully, it wasn't a very big amount. बट वो इटली में ना, जो इटली का जो एक सदर्न रीजन है नेपल्स में, वहाँ पे ना बहुत वो it's an area that's not very organized. It's like very similar to Pakistan actually. When I went there, I thought I've come to, I guess, Karachi. So there we have such issues regularly. It's like a common thing, relatively common thing in Italy. Okay, we have like suddenly the customer has, I don't know, backed off from the payment, and then you have to arbitrate with, and then we have to basically वहाँ पे arbitration तो नहीं कर सकते, because also they don't even speak the language over there, and then they don't speak English over there. So
Sure.
then what we do is that we then they ask for a discount, and then we agree on some discount, and this is something that
Yeah.
recently been through, but on a much smaller scale.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate part of doing business, but yeah, as you sort of figure out how things work in your industry, you have to figure out how you can actually build the capacity to actually be able to either enforce contracts or put in terms and conditions in them where your rights are protected. So I mean that's something that we can talk about offline as well.
Would really like to learn more. I think you went through this experience, and I would love to learn more from you how to go about it the next time it happens.
Absolutely. So can you see the next
yes,
question,
I see it. Yeah.
Ismail, or
I
should I
can
read
see
it
it.
out?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is your all-time favorite movie, book, or piece of art, and how has it influenced your life or your business philosophy?
So one of my favorite movies was Dead Poets Society. I think it came out in the late 80s or early 90s. I saw it after a teacher recommended it to me when I was in high school. And there's a scene in that movie so I was one of the quiet kids in my class, and so my teacher wanted me to sort of see this. And there's a scene in that movie where the teacher in the movie makes one of the kids come up to class in front of the class and do a barbaric yawp. And so my teacher had me do that as well. I still remember doing that, and that was one of the first times I had to sort of come out of my comfort zone. And so that's a movie I still remember. I think there was another part in that about carpe diem, which is Latin for seize the day. So a lot of lessons in that movie, and which I took away after seeing it.
Sure. And this was which school? You said you were in KGS?
KGS, yes. So this was my physics teacher. He was actually a recent graduate at that point in time from MIT. He was also an ex-grammarian, and he joined the school just at that point in time. So he was a very different teacher. I mean, we had a lot of fun with his teaching style, which is a bit non-traditional.
I guess it's these kinds of things, I guess, that teach you more than the books in the classroom, these outs in the
Oh,
classroom or
absolutely.
outside the classroom, but the non-academic experiences, which I'm sure KGS, a school like KGS probably
Absolutely.
had a lot of.
Absolutely.
So to answer the question,
So how about you?
favorite movie I think for me has always been so I like Bollywood movies more. I like English movies also, but I'm a Bollywood fan. I like the traditional Bollywood movies like Dil Wale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, the old Shah Rukh Khan,
Hmm.
Kajol movies. I like those. They haven't really influenced my life. I just enjoyed them. I really like Inception. Inception, I would say, is my favorite English movie because I really like movies that make you think and that have like a plot twist or
Hmm.
something like that. So like it should be something that really makes you either think something or make you feel something. And the Bollywood movies make you I guess feel, and this movie it makes you think. So it yeah, I think that these movies they're just things that I've enjoyed. A book I really enjoyed, Harry Potter, something that I read. What's Jokes?
Sure, Harry Potter fans are true fans for the that
Yeah,
whole
so
series.
much better than the movies. Something I never forget. I used to, मुझे याद है मैं हैरी पॉटर पढ़ रहा होता था and I used to finish each book in like 2 3 days. Uh, all day I used to just read this book. Even while sleeping, I had वो जो होता है ना typical. I had a torch, uh, just reading the book under the covers while sleeping. Then my mom used to come, and then suddenly I
Wow.
used to, switch it off. So I really, Harry Potter was something that was very, I guess, really enjoyable for me. I'll never forget it.
That's really interesting. So, if you were stranded on a desert island for the rest of your life and could choose two companions, living or deceased, who would they be and why?
Uh, hmm, Interesting question. Choose two companions, living or deceased. I think one companion I choose is my grandfather. I think my grandfather is someone he's very good company and has a lot of wisdom, and I would choose my fiance.
Well, good answer. I think if your fiance sees this, if you hadn't mentioned her, that would have been
Yes,
really not good.
you're right about that. And what about yourself?
Um, so I, So I have a fairly similar answer, at least from the first part. I would actually want to spend time with both my Nana and my Dada. I think they are my role models. They were mentors when they were for me they were alive, and I think a lot of who I am is because what I've learned from them. They were both first generation entrepreneurs, and they set up their businesses and then faced a lot of setbacks in their lives and dealt with those setbacks admirably. So I think some of the best traits of my best traits would be something that I can directly link to what I've learned from them. So I would like to have this opportunity on this desert island to learn more from them.
Yes, mashallah, say, having known your grandfather also, and I think that he was a great inspiration for all. And uh, whatever you just said is like something
Absolutely.
that I've also seen, and everyone is something that everyone would knows this.
So, if someone were to write a biography about you, what would the title be and why?
Someone asked, I once at when I was at Penn, someone asked me this question in an interview, and I actually didn't have an answer. I got like stuck. I was like, क्या होगा? Because अगर मैं कुछ बहुत अच्छा कहूँगा तो इसमें लगूंगा कि मैं शो ऑफ कर रहा हूँ लेकिन अब मैं क्या बोलूँ uh, I don't know. I guess so. I recently read a biography of um, one of my inspirations is Babar Ali Saab. He is a great inspiration, and I really like
Hmm.
the title of his biography. The title of his autobiography is Learning from Others.